Hello, this is Paul Calvano. So during the previous videos, we looked at how to access the Chrome User Experience Report data via Google BigQuery. We set up a project and we connected to the Chrome-UX-report dataset, which you can see over here, and we explored some of the tables and and examined the structure of them, and then we finished off by doing a query looking for sites that contain the domain .example.com. So what I want to do next is take a look at some of the dimensions, the form factor and the connection type, and explore what we can learn about sites based on that data. So we can search for, first of all, we can search for other domain names. For example, I'm going to throw in reddit.com, and we can see the list of domain names that, that CrUX has for reddit.com. And we're going to focus on www.reddit.com, and then we can also look at Hacker News. Let's actually compare the two of them and see what the percentage of desktop versus mobile traffic is, and later we can look at the distribution between the response times for them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to replace my where clause with, instead of searching for a specific pattern, I'm going to just key in the two sites that I want to focus on. So both of them are HTTPS, and you can see the domain names here. If I run this query, it's just going to display the two sites because it's looking for something very specific. But what I want to do is I want to take a look at the form factors and the connection types that we have in the data for these sites. So let's add a couple of columns to the select clause. So we're going to say form factor, and I can, if you press tab, it'll do autocomplete for you. So I can see form factor dot name is the form factor, and then effective connection type dot name is the effective connection type. Now, if I run this query, it's going to fail. And the reason it's going to fail is because there's a duplicate column name. Even though this appears to be different, the name is what is actually going into the column name, so the structure gets ignored. So what we're going to do over here is add, we're going to say form factor dot name as device and effective connection type dot name as com. So if I run this, we'll be able to see a list of the form factors and the connection types. Now, this doesn't tell us a whole lot. It does tell us that people are connecting to both of these sites via phones and desktops and 3G and 4G connections. But it doesn't give us the distributions. In order to do that, we need to summarize some of the data in the histograms. Now, when we looked at the histogram data before, you were able to see that the histograms were, so the densities are all packed into arrays. So we have an effective connection type of form factor and an array of histogram data. So in order to query this, what we need to do is unnest the arrays, which essentially is unpacking the arrays into rows. So I'm going to do that by adding a comma to the from clause, and then adding another statement here called unnest. And what we're going to do is we're going to unnest the onload histogram, but the onload histogram bin data. So that's actually going to contain we can do that. We could do this for any of them. I can do this for first paint histogram or onload histogram because it's just summarizing all of them for the form factors. But I'm gonna name this onload. And then what we when I do this, let's actually go and run this real quick. Actually I'm gonna add onload as something that we as part of the select clause, so you can see. So now we have the onload start, end, and density are rows. So we basically unpacked this array so that we have 257 different rows right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the onload the onload column from that, and what I'm going to do instead is say I want to sum the densities. and I'm going to call that density. And then in order to run this, I need to add a group by clause. So I'm going to say group by origin, device, and connection. Now we can see each of the origin, device, and connection connection type, the density, the sum of the densities. You could eyeball here and see that 50% of the Hacker News traffic is on desktop, and 39% is on phone. But we can also use another SQL function to round this. So I'm going to say round, comma 4, and rerun this, and now it should be a lot more readable. Now, you can download this data to a CSV file. You can download this data to a Google Sheet. What we're going to do is go ahead and download this to a Google Sheet and open it, and then you can also explore this in different ways. So, for example, I can take this data and I can create a pivot table. Going to Data Pivot Table, and then I can choose how I want to visualize it. So, for example, if I want the rows to contain different origins, the columns to contain the device types, and then the values to be the sum of the densities, then I basically just select those there. I can also change this to be a percentage column, and you can see what how we can get to doing some more analysis about this around this data. I can also say, I'm interested now also in the connection type, so I can add that as a column. Maybe I can move that around and say I want to look at this is 3G, here's 4G. So there's not a whole lot of 3G traffic. 5% for desktop and 8% for phone, but it's like 3 versus 7% for Hacker News, and 2.5 versus 1% for Reddit. So most of this is where the bulk of the traffic is occurring for these two domains. But so this is just kind of a very quick example of how you can use the CrUX data to analyze some of those dimensions. So not even looking at response times at this point, but just looking at the percentage breakdown across the connection type and device type. Next, we're gonna go into how we can actually extract some of the histogram response time data and learn some things about the site from that. Thanks for watching.